We live in Washington County. There's 600,000+ people living here now, and we're part of a metro area that has over a couple of million people living. We have lots of activity. We've got light rail and highways and all the busyness of a large metropolitan area. These 200+ acres, and it's like now you're in this national park, away from everybody and everything, and all your troubles and the urban noise and clutter just kind of falls away.
The nature park was really one of a kind. I mean, the Park District had several parks, but nothing of this size that was expressly dedicated to the works of nature.
Having done work with the high school, helping build boardwalks and clean this place up and, do studies, in the nature park because it was right across from my high school. I was like, I really wanted to protect this place because it was important to me.
I was always intrigued by the nature park in that it was in really good condition.
We just all had the same philosophy towards the betterment of the community and the importance of a natural area like the nature park to the community, and the ability for folks to come out and walk around through nature.
When I moved into Beaverton, I was looking for some volunteer opportunities, and I have 3 kids, so it's always great to come over here and have them run around.
In the summer of 1999, a special group of concerned citizens of Beaverton formed a task force consisting of community leaders, attorneys, civil and construction engineers. This group was named the Make Our Park Whole Committee. The purpose of this group was to work against a large out-of-state developer who had an option on this 22 acres, surrounded completely by the nature park, and intended to develop 239 housing units.
The only real problem at that time was the southeast, where the Archdiocese still held a 22-acre inholding that was surrounded on 3 sides by the nature park. So it's pretty clear that if that got development, the edge effects would have very significant impacts on keeping the natural in the nature park, because it would have been so deep into the heart of the park.
The 22 acres especially, and also the total 41 acres, were integral parts of the ecosystem of the park. And the impact of putting in housing and the construction would have had a devastating effect on the core of the park. I'd say the lows came kind of towards the beginning when we saw sort of how outgunned we were, outfinanced we were by Polygon, and trying to figure it all out with small numbers. But as our effort grew in momentum, it was very exciting and rewarding to see all the gathering of people from all over Beaverton and Washington County who were concerned about it and wanted to see the park have a long-lasting effect on the community.
Given my background as a public agency lawyer and land use lawyer, I knew that the key to this was to stop the application for development, and that hopefully if we could do that based on the law that was there in the development code, that then would give other public agencies like the Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District and Metro the leverage then to go back to the owner and say, we'd like to buy this land and we think the best use for this land would be as an addition to the nature park.
I had anxiety about public speaking just a little bit. Initially, I was just like, okay, I'm going along with this, I want to be involved. But after actually speaking there the first time, I was like, very gung-ho about this, very like, okay, I'm not gonna let this go until we have a resolution, and then if it's not the one I want, I'm probably still gonna be involved, protest. It was like 3 minutes of testimony, and it was at that point that the city council interrupted what I was saying. Yeah, they decided to say, thank you for reminding us what it's like to be a child. At that point, I saw from the corner of my eye the lawyer from the Polygon Development Corporation go, like they knew they'd lost an argument on there.
We were ecstatic, and that was something I'll never forget.
I was just incredibly grateful to be part of the process. My appreciation goes to the city who helped facilitate once we got past the idea. I'm really grateful to Metro to come in with half the cost for doing that. Oh, you throw in this, city put in $250,000. Appreciable to the Park District staff. You know, they put both arms around it once things started closing.
My takeaway from the process that the group used here at the nature park, I always felt could be duplicated. In fact, one of the individuals I'm working with was a member of that committee way back when. So all of this time has passed, and yet here we are still working on viable projects to grow natural resource holdings.
At the same time that I was involved with this, I was an active member of the Beaverton Optimist Club, and we had a group of can-do people with tractors and equipment and practical-minded people who could build a trail and get a crew together, and that's what we did right after this land was sold to Metro and the Park District. We got a crew together and started building the Ponderosa Loop Trail.
The legacy of our Ponderosa Loop Trail will live on as an outstanding example of dedication by caring citizens to make sure nature has a continued place within our community.
The recognition that it shouldn't all be staff-led, it shouldn't be a board of director-led, but an outside committee speaking into the very process of trying to protect more property, the conservation side of the district. If your patrons care enough to step forward, then you know you have their backing.
When the city council made their decision not to have the 22 acres developed, but leave it as parkland, that was head over heels. It's the best part of it. Exciting.
Every hour that you do is 1 hour that is making a positive ripple in the world. And I wouldn't have known how that felt if I hadn't have had some impact on what happened here.
What we did 25 years ago, the echo effect and the reverberation of that, it reflects in this larger, wonderful park and all the other things that have gone on from a natural resource conservation standpoint. So it's a legacy that lives today, and it's just a wonderful feeling.